Shalom.
Shalom.
And howdy, y'all.
Howdy, y'all.
You know, it was the Spanish political philosopher, George Santayana, who said those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And here we are 85 years later, remembering Kristallnacht. And World War II is very near and dear to my heart because my father fought in the European theater of operations. He was wounded in Italy. But when I think about what we are remembering from 85 years ago, it is absolutely appalling, it is unconscionable, it is unacceptable that we are seeing Jewish businesses here in the United States of America, they're being attacked. We're seeing businesses that are owned by Jews where employees are walking out because they're standing up for the people that are being held hostage. Even at a port in Oakland, California, we are seeing a United States military supply ship be attacked this past weekend. And let us not forget Paul Kessler, the 69-year-old man who was brutally killed by someone that was out supporting an Islamic terrorist organization. This is why we must tell the story. This is why truth has to be on our side. This is why we must continue to go out and say, never again means never again, nowhere, anywhere in the entire world. What we saw happen in World War II, we must be committed to never again allow it happen. You know, I love reading through the Bible. I think y'all call the Old Testament towards the Old Testament. I can turn to Numbers chapter 34, Rabbi, verses 1 through 12, and I can see the boundaries of Israel that are set forth. I can turn over to the words of the prophet Ezekiel in chapter 47, verses 15 through 22. I can see the boundaries of Israel that were established. I can go back and read and see that this is a nation that has been around for some 5,800 years. When I study history, I don't see a doggone state called Palestine. And as a matter of fact, when you do study history, you will see that the punishment to the Jewish people for the second Jewish revolt, the Simon Bar Kokhba revolt, was that Roman Emperor Hadrian said that the land, that region would no longer be called Judea, it would be called Syria Palestina. Had nothing to do with Arabs, had nothing to do with Muslims. It has everything to do with punishing the Jewish people for standing up against the tyranny that they lived under. As a matter of fact, the exact same region is also called the Levant, from French and Italian merchants who traveled there. We don't call anybody Levantinians. Even ISIS used the designation ISIL. So why is it that all of a sudden we have fallen prey to what is really a false narrative, a false doctrine? Because we don't study history. We don't understand. We don't take the narrative back from those people that are out there lying and deceiving others. Rabbi, that's what we have to do, is to take the narrative back and preach the truth that is based in fact, that is based in history, so that everyone can understand. You're absolutely right in making every comparison of Hamas to Nazism, to what we were remembering from 85 years ago. Why? Because the Muslim Brotherhood that was founded in 1928 by Hassan al-Banna, he was a disciple of Adolf Hitler. Why? Because Yasser Arafat's uncle, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, was an ally to Adolf Hitler. And as a matter of fact, he provided Arab soldiers to a vicious SS organization that operated in the Balkans. Why? Because even the king of Georgia, Yasser Arafat, decided to create his little conflict there in 1970. He crushed the PLO, which is today called the Palestinian Authority, which is nothing more than Fatah. We must remember those things. We must remember that these Islamic terrorists are carrying out the exact same thing that Roman Emperor Hadrian wanted to do in 135 AD. We must remember that these Islamic terrorists are carrying out the mandate of Adolf Hitler. We must remember as Americans that they have also been at war against us. Many of us don't remember that it was 40 years ago, October the 23rd, 1983, when we lost 254 Marines, soldiers, and sailors in Beirut because of Hezbollah, backed by Iran. And we're still dealing with Hezbollah today. And as a matter of fact, Ronald Reagan, who was the president at the time, wanted to crush and destroy Hezbollah. But advisors to Ronald Reagan talked him out of it. See, we're dealing with an enemy that does not understand compromise, appeasement, negotiation, or acquiescence. Remember Sir Neville Chamberlain when he waved that piece of paper that's saying, I have a signed document from Herr Hitler saying that there will be peace in our time. Why do you think we have all of this turmoil going on right now? Because we're not showing strength. Having served in Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Iraq, and Afghanistan, I will tell you, there's only two things that this enemy understands. Strength and might. How do we get to this point? You turn over to the prophet Isaiah in chapter 5, verse 20. He says, woe be to those who will call good evil and evil good. They will call light darkness and darkness light. They will exchange sweet for bitter and bitter for sweet. How do we get to the point in the United States of America that we have people that are actually out there carrying on and supporting a terrorist organization that just killed 30 Americans and is holding Americans hostage and won't even let the quote-unquote Palestinian Americans out of Gaza? That's what the drill sergeants used to call stuck on stupid. And we need to illuminate them on that. How is it that the venerable body that I once served in, the United States House of Representatives, has a person that supposedly took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America is now aligned with an Islamic terrorist organization and sending out their propaganda and even putting up on her social media platforms from the river to the sea, which we all know what that means. Let me tell you something. Censure is not enough. You want to know something else you do? Call Congress and tell them that Rashida Tlaib should not have one single committee assignment in the United States House of Representatives. That Rashida Tlaib should not be able to receive any intelligence briefings whatsoever. And they should bring her before the House Ethics Committee and seek to expel her from the United States House of Representatives. People say, hey, Colonel, why do you care so much? It's very simple. America is my physical homeland. And as a young black man born in 1961 in a blacks-only hospital, there were Jewish people that came down south and marched side by side with my people to make sure that this whole thing about racism would never occur. That they could have businesses, that they could go to schools, that they could never be taken out and lynched or have dogs set upon them. But even more so, Israel is my spiritual homeland as a born-again Christian. Amen. If there was no Israel, I have no spiritual homeland. If there was no Israel, how can I teach the lessons to my two grandsons who are 2.5 and today 1 month old? How can I take them and show them this is the basis of our faith? That's why I stand in this fight with them. Let me tell you something. I still shoot pretty good. And on the side of my holster here are the words that Leonidas said to the invading Persian horde when tyranny once again faced freedom. Xerxes told the Spartans to lay down their weapons. Leonidas replied, two Greek words, molon lave. Come, take. When 183 men stood just down the road at a place called the Alamo, and they understood and knew that they were facing an incredible army of 3,000 to 4,000. William Barrett Travis, the commander, incredible letter on the 24th of February, 1836. And he said, "Come and take it." And that was also the rally cry of the beginning of the Texas Revolution. A small little place called Gonzales. This is a come and take it moment for Israel and for America. If you want to make sure that you are not eradicated from history, this is your moment to stand. And you must stop allowing people to abuse the Constitution of the United States of America. You do not have the freedom of speech to support a terrorist organization. You do not have the freedom of expression to support a terrorist organization. But every single one of us must realize that I think that they now realize in Israel. There's a reason why our founding fathers gave us a Second Amendment. Because when all else fails, you are the militia. Because the words of the Second Amendment says, a well-regulated, that does not mean ATF, it means well-trained militia, being necessary to the security of a free state. Therefore, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. When we allow a person that was on the terrorist watch list, the Iranian foreign minister, to come to the United States of America and stand in front of the United Nations and issue a threat to this nation, the only reason he felt confident in doing that is because when you go south of this place by about 7 or 8 hours, there's a wide open border. And there are terrorist elements that we have allowed in this country. 1 to 1.5 million gotaways that you have no idea, no track of. That is greater than the active duty strength of our United States Army and United States Marine Corps combined. It is your responsibility. And I think now the people in Israel understand it is their responsibility to secure their free state. Israel will move past this, and Israel will defeat this enemy. In the words of the Prussian general, Karl von Clausewitz, war is the imposition of your will upon your enemy. There shall be no ceasefire. There shall be no pause. When you have the enemy on the run, you crush them. Why do you kick a man when he's down, we used to say in the Army? Because it's close to your foot. God bless you all.